Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? How's everybody doing this morning? Sorry, I was having some momentary technical difficulties there, but I think I've got those squared away. Let me get connected over here to the morning live stream. There we go. Share screen. Go live. All right. What's up, Navy Plum? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. All right. YouTube looks good. Discord looks good. Sorry, I was having a weird encoder issue after doing a OBS update this morning, and it was acting real bitchy this morning, but I got it squared away. YouTube looks like it's up and running. Connection looks good. That looks good there. The only thing I had left to do was getting our trade recap set up. This was NBIS or NBIS, and the other one was, I think, Spot. Can I recap yesterday's SPY plan? Sure. Although yesterday's SPY plan was pretty much a no trade, we can certainly take a look at it. And let's get, this is Spot, and then we'll be good to go. All right, sorry for the slight delay and really getting into the nitty gritty here, but again, I was just fighting through some technical difficulties real quick there, but it seems like I've got those figured out and all is good. So let's get rolling. So Navy Plum wants me to take a look at yesterday's SPY plan. We can certainly do that. And then of course we will get into our trade plan recaps from the member selected tickers that we did over the weekend, as well as the plans that we did on last Thursday's live stream. And then we will get to some new trade plan requests that we will do live this morning with everybody on board. So with that being said, let's dig in and start talking about what we're seeing here with the markets in general. And ultimately what we're seeing is a lot of chop. We are pushing higher, making higher lows. Ultimately, we did have this weird gap down candle that got pretty much immediately bought back up and put back into the overall trend of higher lows, although that could be a one-off lower low and lower high, really. So could see some stuff shifting around a little bit as far as uncertainty goes. But ultimately, the market seems to be holding steady up around these levels. We've talked about this 60-68 kind of being a key level to watch. We saw ES reject that a few times. We've now gotten over it and seem to be bouncing off of it as support. Seeing a little bit more of a fight here right around that level. Ultimately, though, ES having some bullishness and momentum kind of still in its favor until we get down to about 60-31. And then things start to look a little bit more slippery, potential for more downside and a retest of this demand zone that we just recently put in. So all of that kind of playing into the narrative of ES right now. The other thing that I'm noticing as we're sitting here talking about ES is potential for a downtrend to be forming somewhere around this area. Let me brighten this up a little bit so it's easier to see. There you go. So somewhat of a downtrend potentially developing here, but we could pop through that here early this morning, which should open up things for a test of 6120 or a retest of 6120 and then on up to the supply zone overhead. What's up, YB? Good to see you. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Excuse me. Let me get some coffee in here. All right, so like I said, just trying to push a little bit higher, get over that 333 SMA, get over that downtrend, and we should see SPY/ES try to pop higher and at least retest this 6120 level. If not, start heading for some of these supply zones overhead. So overall, holding strong. We're right up against a challenge here this morning, but if we can get a little bit of momentum, a little bit of a push to the upside, I think that clears some of those issues out, and we can see the markets try to push higher. What's up, Unknown Reviews? Ticker DDOG. We can certainly take a look at Datadog for you. All right, so Let's get to our trade plan recaps. And to start that off, gonna go with the SPY plan here from Navy Plum, requesting that specifically from yesterday. So let's take a look at it real quick. Let me get this extra noise out of the way. All right, so yeah, I said to Navy Plum a moment ago, kind of didn't really see anything that looked like a good confirmed breakout to me. So maybe this more than a recap becomes a kind of a discussion of what constitutes a confirmed break or not. So a couple of things that I note here on the 5-minute. As we went into the open, we did see SPY pushing to the downside, trying to confirm a break below 603.09. But a couple of things that I note here on the 5-minute that kind of had me hesitant from chasing that downside early into the morning. One, we're seeing these dips below getting bought back up. And on this, in fact, I'm going to hide this long short thing right there. Actually, let me hide both these just so it's not in the way. All right. So as we're looking at this attempt to break down, we're seeing these candles wick below but get bought back up. So some liquidity grabs happening just below the put entry there. We also had the 200 SMA just below. So that kind of adds some potential issues for the downside going into the day there as that shifted and trended down and came down and really kind of caught that low of the day yesterday pretty nicely, actually, and pushed us higher. But still, 200 SMA aside, that's a little bit of a factor to consider. Also, Neptune ultimately bullish in this zone. But we are seeing some dips below, and those are getting bought back up, right? So when I see those wicks getting bought back up, I start to want to see maybe something that looks like a little bit more like it's going to really confirm that we are going to push lower than where that wick was bought back up from. The other thing that I look at, though, if I'm really not sure, if I'm hesitating on taking an entry on SPY, 5-minute candle closes. We do get our first close right here. This next candle pretty much immediately gets bought back up. I'm sure at some point, although I could be wrong about this 5-minute candle back tested and probably looked like it was back testing as resistance in this range. So, kind of with that in mind, if you're looking at the way that this is stacking up for a potential downside entry, the one thing that I would recommend, if it looks a little bit murky or unclear, looking at the 5-minute chart, switch to the 15-minute chart and see what that shows you. So if we take a look at this on the 15-minute chart here, you can see that really these just look like two liquidity sweeps below. These 15-minute candles aren't even closing below on SPY at all. So when things are looking a little iffy on the 5-minute, or if you're really just not sure or confident about how this price action is going to ultimately play out, just by looking at the 5-minute, it's been a saying for probably as long as the market's been around. When in doubt, zoom out, right? Just take a pause, look at a higher time frame to make sure that you're not kind of getting too far into the weeds or trying to force a trade entry that may not be there. So looking at the 15-minute, again, pretty clearly looks like just a couple of liquidity sweeps below, and ultimately that put entry holds. If we go back to the 5-minute and look at our potential upside breaks yesterday, again, pretty clear rejection right there. So this is a no trade. That's definitely a no trade. I mean, even on the 5-minute, that's not a confirmed break, nothing closing above our call entry. Then we start to see some attempts to break above, but really barely closing candles above and immediately getting pushed right back down below. So really only kind of a 2-candle, kind of analysis there or opportunity from the looks of it. Again, if you're sort of debating or thinking, maybe this is a shot, maybe it's not, when in doubt, zoom out. We go from the 5-minute to the 15-minute, and you can see that it pretty clearly looks like just a liquidity grab to the upside and ultimately pulls back. So, to me, yesterday, the SPY plan was a no trade scenario all day yesterday, for those reasons that I just outlined. So hopefully that's helpful to you, Navy Plum, not only for kind of general confirmation and educational purposes, but also for kind of some ideas for how to confirm those level breaks. Or if you're seeing things on the 5-minute that you're just not 100% confident or feeling great about, check the 15-minute as your backup. And make your judgments from there. Clearly, if we look at the 15, nothing really ever even closed above or below. We sort of just stayed within the range of the call and put entry levels. which happens, right? Sometimes we have those trading days where that's the case. And those are days where you just, you're better off to not trade SPY unless you're going to try to play it between or within this range, which could have resulted in some trades, but you're really kind of trying to, I think, force it and thread the needle a little too much at that point. So you've heard me say it, I don't know how many times, don't force these trades. Let the trades come to you, or make sure that everything looks good. You don't have to have money actively in the market every day as far as any kind of short-term options trading goes. So that is your SPY plan recap. Let's get to the rest of these trade plan recaps, and then we'll get to some new requests. Again, we've already got unknown reviews in the mix with Datadog. Wants me to take a look at that. I get the requests, or, every so often I get a bunch of requests to do a daily QQQ plan. I'm not against doing it. It's just a matter of having the time to do all that stuff pre-market, especially on a morning where I'm doing these live streams. It's hard to fit that much stuff in and also watch that many things at once. So it's kind of like, pick your poison. Do you want to focus on QQQ or SPY? For me, SPY's been my bread and butter for years. But I'm not totally against the idea. I've just got to figure out a good way to try to fit it in. What's up, Chris? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well, my friend. It's good talking with you last night. All right. Sorry. Fueling up, topping off on some coffee. So Apple, this was, for me, a no trade. The way that this was set up, we opened above the call entry. We kept getting these big rejection candles. You can see them here on the hourly. You can see how it's rejecting here on the 5-minute, pretty much just shy of PT1. Also had the 333 SMA there, right there on the 5-minute. So when we start to see something like that, that's where I'm either A, not trading, or B, looking at PT1 for puts, a key resistance with a key indicator resistance just overhead there. Looking at that kind of setup as a possible opportunity for rejections, and certainly we saw that. Did pull back not only to the call entry, but pulled back quite a bit lower. Now is on the wrong side of the stop loss average down for the call entry side of the plan. So overall, for me, Apple was a no trade just based on the fact that we opened up pretty much and we're testing PT1 right out of the gates. Sometimes PT1 is all we get. You folks who have been on these live streams before have heard me say that. I don't know how many times is, the analysis might be done playing out for upside or downside at PT1. Certainly seems like that's the case, at least so far for Apple, but right now it's back in the range and certainly looking a lot better if we do get another break above PT1. So if it can climb back over 228.60, I do like this for a potential replay of the call side trade plan, but hopefully we get an entry during market hours versus the entry kind of taking place outside of the cash session, and ultimately the analysis playing out to the upside before we can really do anything with it. So that was the Apple trade plan. Lunar, this one's been a no trade, just kind of drifting sideways just below our call entry there at 2018, but Lunar kind of giving some signs that it wants to push higher. Just needs to kind of get moving over that 2018 level. Let's take a quick look at this on the 15-minute. Yeah, see, even on the 15, just not quite closing above 333 right there on top. So anytime you see something like this as well, where you've got one of these key moving averages that I like to talk about that's just above a call entry or just below a put entry, don't rush in on the level break. Wait for that moving average to also be out of the way, even if it's, especially if it's just slightly above, like we're seeing here. Then you want to see that break above and back test of that, from going from a confluence of resistance when we're below it to switching to a confluence of support. And then you get your entry off that back test and pushing higher. So far though, Lunar been a non-trade, still waiting for that good break above 2018. TDOC was also one from over the weekend. This one's tried, but not quite giving us the break above. Even looking here on the 15-minute, you see we get above and it's kind of very flat. We're not seeing that kind of continuation or extension higher. Did see that one kind of crazy pump candle that pulled right back shortly out of the gates. That's why we say, let the first 15, 30 minutes of the market play out. Let that stuff settle before you go rushing into any trades. So that was certainly a prudent move here on TDOC, with sort of that quick grab above and then ultimately coming back and consolidating in our range. But now more and more 1405 is looking like a better entry. If we can break above that, not only on the 5-minute, on the 15-minute, that puts a lot of stuff out of the way. So keep an eye on TDOC to get back over 1405 for a potential entry to the upside. If you did get in on any of these pushes above and took any of this to be a confirmed break, which it certainly looks like it, just kind of a very flat, not continuing sort of a push there. You're still in good shape. Stop loss average down at 1323 also looks like a good buy the dip level to me. Could move if you use that as an entry. If you're not already in, 1268 would be my stop loss on that TDOC setup. NBIS, this one's played out nicely to the upside. We did it last Thursday pre-market on, let's go to the 15-minute. On Friday, it broke to the upside, gave us a nice clean back test and bounced off of that. So that's your entry right there. You can also see this on the 5-minute. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. Nice push above, quick back test there, but a little bit too early into the market, at least for me when I was watching this. Pushed higher, higher, higher. Again, even as this push continues, I'm waiting for this trade to come back to me. I am not going to chase this trade. You hear me say that all the time. Let the trades come to you. Don't chase them. So this pushed higher, 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 then comes back, gives us the back test entry right there. Ultimately never really threatened or got anywhere near the stop loss average down. Did go sideways for a little bit before ultimately dipping down, grabbing a little tiny bit more liquidity, and then that gave us the ramp to the upside. Tested PT1, pulled back briefly, and then pushed over. That led to a push toward PT2 there pre-market the following day and on into the trading day yesterday. So far, NBIS playing out nicely, upside targets hitting and continuing to push higher, so that looks good. And then last but not least, Spotify. This is one that I did not watch closely yesterday, so let's talk about it a little bit. Nice break above, consolidation as support. So this looks like a pretty good confirmed break and consolidating as support at 630.83. Didn't quite get to PT1 there yesterday, so I think we still have a chance to push higher. Also making a higher low based on where we're at here pre-market. Neptune's looking bullish on it here on the 15-minute. So if we're holding 630.83 going into the open, I certainly like spot for a potential entry. Again, give the market a little bit of time to settle itself going into the open. Really nice dip buy if you can catch one somewhere in this 624.70 to 623.75 range. 200 SMA, Neptune, key buying pressure there together. But yeah, so holding anywhere in this range from that 620, call it 623 up to 630.83. If it's holding in that range and looks like it's getting bought up out of that range, I like it for an entry, and then we potentially start testing those price targets. I think these are, trend-based fib extensions, so trying to project resistances that we've never tested before. That's the other kind of tricky part to this trade plan here. But overall, Spotify looking bullish and looking like it wants to continue to the upside. All right, so let's get to some of these trade plan requests. Do I have one on NQ1? That's getting into futures grind. We're not going to really get into any. I talk about ES as far as kind of giving us a general idea of market direction and sentiment. But yeah, I don't want to spend a ton of time on these live streams getting into futures because generally speaking, we're more of a stock and options trading community at this point. We obviously have a futures channel. I am very much in favor of trading futures and do trade futures myself. But I think what the Xtrades Discord community overall is focused on is, at least for right now, still stocks and options. So I'm not going to get too much into NQ charting here this morning on this live stream. All right, so let's get to these new trade plan requests. Yeah, I'm with you, Chris. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I mean, we could also be banking on some QQQ trades as well. But yeah, it's just, for me, it's like I have limited time pre-market to, I can only do so much. And I really do like to leave those plans kind of as close to market open as possible. So then trying to fit another one in that short amount of time, again, just becomes kind of a real challenge. Not insurmountable, or maybe it's something where I could start doing like a midday plan or something like that. So I'll think about it. YB Skater is the long story short. Well, let's talk about that at some point. Shoot me a DM. Let's, maybe do like a quick voice chat, or even better, the best recommendation I can give anybody who's really struggling to execute, especially something that's kind of as laid out as well as the SPY plan or any of these trade plans, really. If you're really struggling to execute on those, the best suggestion I can give you is getting some one-on-one mentoring time. I'd be happy to work with you, but we have plenty of analysts who do the one-on-one mentoring. That could probably help you identify. My guess is you're probably getting into trades. The timing of your entries is probably the main culprit. So timing of those entries, and then I'd say probably the other thing that I see a lot is not being willing to kind of hold through some challenging conditions and letting the plan work itself out, and stopping out too early. So getting in kind of maybe too early in some cases and getting out too early tends to be sort of the main the primary bad habit that I see a lot of people falling into when they tell me that they're struggling executing some of these trade plans. But again, YB, if you want to kind of really dig into what your personal challenges and struggles are, I'm happy to kind of help you however I can, just via some DMs real quick. But if you want to really kind of peel back the layers and really get into, digging into how you can improve the execution of these plans, one-on-one mentoring is the best recommendation I can give anybody. All right, so let's get to these new trade plans. Let's go with Datadog for unknown reviews. Not one that I look at all that often. I forget what their niche is in the tech sector. I mean, I know the company name, monitoring and analytics. Okay, so they're analytics essentially. Okay, well, let's take a look at this. I swear I've done some Datadog charting at some point, but certainly can't tell that by looking here. So let's hide these indicators real quick. Let's focus on just price action for a minute. Get a little extra real estate here to work with. All right, let's go on Datadog. What's their what am I doing? There we go. Earnings report in 2 days. All right, so let's get some of these levels in place. Probably need that level at some point for an upside trade plan. This is an interesting level. So is this. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Sorry, just trying to really nail down as precisely as we can, although it can be a little bit challenging on these higher time frames. Where exactly are the key levels that we'll need to build a well-informed trade plan here on Datadog? Yeah, I'm not loving really kind of how any of these other ones are setting up. Just not showing very clearly where we need to be mindful. That's kind of an interesting little level in there, though. All right, I think we might be... there could be something sitting right here, actually. Yeah, let's keep that on watch. All right, so moving on. Actually, let's see if there's a... Do want to find maybe one more weekly level to the downside. Can I take a quick look at Sound GLD? Yeah, sure. I'll try to take a look at that. Unique Visuals by William Powell. That's quite the the username there. But yeah, we can try and take a look at that. Sorry, I just noticed your message. Sorry, I'm getting really hung up on whether or not there's a level here. I think there is. I'm spending too much time on trying to confirm it. All right. Let's fast forward a little bit. Let's get moving a little quicker on these levels. Interesting. I think there's potentially something here, but not confirmed yet. Yeah, that looks pretty good, though. Interesting rejection back there. Have anything more recent through that range? A little bit. Seems like there wants to be a level right about here. I just want to see if we can... This may be a 4-hour level. Just want to see if we can get some kind of confirmation. Yeah, that's pretty close to what I was looking at earlier. Yeah, I think that is a pretty good daily level, actually. All right. Lots of consolidation, resistance around this level. Not 100% convinced yet. Seeing some floppy kind of support resistance. Let's go ahead and call that a daily level. I think I might be reading between the lines a little bit on that one, but seeing what I'm seeing there, I think. Same thing with this one. Little iffy, but I think we're good. Another one sitting right here, possibly. Lots of resistance. Yeah, there's some support. All right, cool. Interesting support and resistance here. And that's an interesting little dip that got bought down here, but not seeing anything that's really jumping out at me as far as like, oh, that's why that dip got bought. If there is a level down here, it's a little bit lower, I think. I don't know. This is an iffy one. I don't know if it's going to be that relevant anyway. Okay, let's fast forward. I think we've got some good higher time frame levels in the mix here, so let's really dig in. Let's see where the indicators are sitting. Interesting little break there. Oops. Yeah, even with that. Okay. So, filling in some blanks here. Yesterday's high of the day does seem to be around an existing level. It's right here. $147.72, 151.08. I'm kind of thinking about an entry over this yesterday's high. And that looks like it should open up room to this weekly level. Let's take a look at that. I just want to see a little bit more history on how things have played out near this potential entry level. Question is, will we even have the candles to do that with? We're getting close. There we go. All right. Yeah, seeing those breaks above. All right, let's take a shot at it. I might be getting a little too, aggressive on how far out we're pushing that PT1. PT2, I already kind of was eyeballing that daily level there at 158.59. This, I may have this daily level just off a little bit. Now that we're zoomed in, we can see it a little more clearly where that level is flipping. I think that makes for a good third price target. Could potentially break out over that and test higher up toward that 168.65, but I think we should be pretty happy with our trade if this plays out. I like this as a stop loss average down there at that weekly level. So that's the upside trade plan sorted. Downside, yeah, there is a level somewhere in this neck of the woods. If we get down this low, it kind of ran right up through it. Thinking maybe an entry below 139.93 and plan for this weekly support next. Share the stop loss average down with the upside plan. I just want to see some more. May not get any more. Let's see. Yeah, there's some kind of a, maybe an hourly level that's just a little bit higher. Let's take a look at both of these on this recent price action, and then we'll make a call because we've got to get to at least one more trade plan. I'm getting a little hung up on this. Yeah, I think that's the opportunity. I mean, there's definitely potential for this to wind up being kind of a bear trap, but you got to take a shot at some point. And I do like a break below that 140.76 with the first price target down there at 135. Weekly support. Interesting little flip there. Yeah, I wouldn't discount that from also potentially triggering a bounce. So kind of a tight PT1, PT2, PT3. I may have this daily level down here off just a tad. Yeah, I think it needs to sit, yeah, right there. That gives us a good third price target. Okay, sorry. I feel like I got a little bit into the weeds on this one, but overall, I think we wound up with some good plans. So hopefully the juice will have been worth the squeeze, or will be worth the squeeze, as they say. All right, so let's go. Here is our Datadog live stream plans. Boom and boom. All right, so what are we looking for here on Datadog? We're looking for a break over 147.72. That should give us targets at, oh, excuse me, big yawn coming on there. Should give us targets at 154.08, 158.59, and 162.56, with a stop loss average down at 144.36. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 140.76. That should give us targets at 135 and then 132.82, kind of tight PT1-2 there. And then finally on to 128.97 with a stop loss average down, shared with the upside there at 144.36. Those are your Datadog live stream plans. Let's go. All right, so I think the next one I saw was Soundhound. I was gonna say, I feel like we did a plan on this recently. Played out to the upside. Let's see where things are sitting now. Let's see what levels we can see now. I don't know how much time or focus I was able to put into this last time, but let's make sure we haven't missed anything significant that's changed on this chart. All right. Let's hide these for a sec. All right, so yeah, hasn't spent a ton of time up in this weekly range, which is why we have mostly smaller time frame levels drawn on it so far. That daily level does look like it should be a little higher. This one looks like it should be a little lower. Yeah, okay. I kind of see what I was thinking when I drew that. Probably is something right about here. All right, let's get into some of these hourly charts. And I do want to see where these indicators are sitting, so I can start to use that as part of my planning process. Yeah, this one sound looks like it just needs to get back over this 1523 level to me. It's right here, pre-market. Is it actually a little bit higher? I think this is the level I just adjusted down, isn't it? It really is kind of either at 1523 or 1540, it looks like. 1534. All right, between those two, I'm going to go with the waiting for better confirmation. And let's get over 1534. I do like this. Yeah, right about here. 1463 stop loss. First target. Again, I might have this a little high. A little bit higher than that. There you go, right about there. 1662 looks like a good first target, so good risk reward set up there. We've got things topping out or looking toppy near that 1787 level on Neptune, plus just what we're seeing from a price action standpoint. So then the last question is, where's PT3? Interesting double bottom here on the 4 hour. Let's see if this turns out to be a level on the hourly. think it will be. Yeah, there's this resistance I was looking for. So, yeah, I think that's a good hourly level. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3 to the upside. I think I may have this level. Yeah, it probably is more like right there. This is a little bit iffy. Is there just 2 levels here, maybe? Sorry, I think we do have one there. And a potential level here. Let's see. Yeah, I do like that being slightly higher. So this is going to be a pretty tight 1-to-1 to the downside getting to PT1. Sorry, I'm really debating. So I do think this. I do think this could drop real hard if it loses this 1244 level. But I think 1244 does need to be a target. So I know this looks really wonky with it being a PT1, PT2, PT3, but there's a big fair value gap to fill heading down that way still if we do break below 1244. So like I said, I know it looks off, but sometimes that's just what the chart tells us, right? And so the one thing I try my best to do on these live streams is to just let the charts and the price action and the indicators do the talking. I don't want to put my own bias or like what I think is a normal looking trade plan into the mix. Just let the charts do the talking. So this is what sound looks like. All right. Oh, crap. You know what? I forgot to post either of these. Let me post these in the Elite chat real quick before I forget. And the other one was Datadog that I forgot to post for everybody in the Xtrades Discord. So all right, so going back to our SoundHound live stream plan, what are we looking for here on SoundHound? We're looking for a break over 1534. That should give us upside targets at 1662, then on up to 1787 and 1903. Final target to the upside with a stop loss average down at 1463 to the downside. We're looking for a break below 1381. That should give us targets at 1297 and 1244. Again, tight 1-2 price targets there, but then below 1244 could see a big elevator down move to the 1048 flush below 1244 PT3 at 1048 for the downside trade plan. All right, I'm in your TZ, so I can be available. Yeah, Trading Dad. I know I got to circle back to you so we can get your mentoring scheduled. I will get to you, with you on that today. Sorry, the weekend just kind of got away from me a little bit. Cave Money, I saw your message about no day trades left. The one thing that I would suggest you could do if you're really stuck without any day trades is, take your entries the way you normally would. And when it comes time for you to take profit, instead of taking profit, go ahead and sell a contract at the money against your long position. So for instance, if you took SPY calls and you were in let's just use kind of the SPY chart here. Let's say you took SPY calls at 605 and you were in 605 call contracts for, whatever, tomorrow, or obviously you need time if you're going to swing these. So I would say, getting those 605 calls for like either Friday or preferably one day next week. So take your 605C entry here. Let's say you get to PT1 and you're ready to lock in some profits. Well, you can't round trip being out of day trade. So instead of worrying about that, you could up there at 606 probably sell a 606 or a 607 call against your 605 calls. And that should help you lock in those profits, even if you can't close out. But the other ultimate recommendation would be, exactly what Chris said. Switch your account to a cash account. Then you don't have a $25,000 account balance requirement to maintain in order to have unlimited day trades. You can day trade all you want. The only real key difference between a cash account and a margin account is that cash account does have to settle overnight. So if you book or close out a trade during the trading day, the funds from closing that trade won't be available until the following day. With most brokerages, I'm sure there are some that are a little bit slower than that. Also, you can't do spreads, so no multi-leg option strategies in cash accounts. So just a couple of things to be mindful of there. Let me make sure I got to all the rest of these. Chelsea says she's got her eye on SPGI. I don't even think I know what SPGI is. So let's see if we can't take a quick look at that. Holy smokes. S&P Global Inc. That's interesting. I feel like I should know this one. Ooh, really little volume on this. I would think it would move with SPY, but SPY is down and SPGI looks to be gapping up. I don't know much about this one, Chelsea, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Rating, it's a weird business to be in. It's also a very low volume ticker. Does technically have earnings, unlike SPY. So this is kind of SPY adjacent, but obviously can do its own thing, and earnings were good. With this one being low volume, big pump pre-market, and earnings report just happening this morning, I would say stay away from this one for a little while. If not altogether, I don't really love the volume on it, and just looking at kind of the price action in general, seems a bit choppy sideways to me. Obviously, if you've got plenty of time on your contracts, it could work out in your favor, but I just think there's probably a lot of other better tickers to trade than SPGI. So that's my quick take on it for you, Chelsea, if you're still here. So I hope that's helpful. All right, we are about 10 minutes out from market open. I do need to go get the SPY plan together and get our alert set on those plan levels. How about NVIDIA for Tony? Let me take a quick look at that for you. Yeah, I was looking at NVIDIA pre-market, and really the 15-minute, I think, is what I was probably watching. That looked interesting to me. It looks like it's coming down to some buy pressure here, so kind of was a pretty overextended move. I like that it's pulled back some. So this is starting to look like a pretty good entry to me, especially if it's holding over 131.06. I like it for, a bullish entry, preferably off 131.06 down to 130.71, somewhere in this range. Hell, you could even go 131.50 to 130.71. I'll take that back. Anywhere in that range I like as a potential buy the dip opportunity, with a stop loss. Yeah, right there at 129.61. I think below that it pulls back further. So overall, though, I think it's looking like this little pullback could be a good opportunity to get in for the next leg up. So hope that's all helpful for you folks. I want to thank everybody for spending some time with me this morning. I do appreciate it. We will be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, I am going to go get the SPY plan put together so I can get that posted and our alerts for the day set on it. Those will all be posted in the Xtrades Discord community, both in the options watch list and the alerts coming throughout the day in the main options chat. So I want to thank you all again for joining me so much. We will be back, like I said, Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, as we always say here on the FOMO live streams, plan your trades and trade your plans. Go out there and get some green. Keep your wins big. Keep your losses small. I will see you all in the chats, and I will see you back here this Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. Take care.